Hey there. Before we start this journey, I need your support. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who truly needs to hear this right now. What we're about to explore can genuinely change everything. This is the path to real freedom and lasting independence. Let's begin this journey into ancient wisdom that will transform your entire life. Have you noticed the harder you chase something, the further it becomes? The more you try to hold on, the faster it slips away. The more you fear losing it, the more that fear controls you. When you pause, you realize you're exhausted not from life, but from constantly trying to control everything. Today, I want to share an idea that transforms how you approach desires. This isn't abandoning dreams. It's wanting with lightness, without anxiety, trapping you. Think about something you've pursued intensely: a career move, a relationship, or financial change. Ask yourself, why do I want this? What will I feel when I get it? What prevents me from receiving it now? Perhaps the issue isn't your goal, but the weight you've placed on it. The ancient Stoics taught that inner freedom emerges when we stop trying to control what lies beyond our power. That's what we're going to explore today. When you release your grip, everything arrives naturally. Not through magic, but because life flows more smoothly when you stop blocking it with the obsession to control every outcome. Before we continue, hit that like button, leave a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. The energy spreads through your actions. Let's begin. The paradox of pursuit. Here's the truth. The more you force peace, the more chaos you create. The more you attempt to control everything, the more out of control you feel. This is the paradox of pursuit. Excessive effort becomes the very barrier to success. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said something profound. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will find peace. Yet most of us do the opposite. We push life with all our strength. We demand faster results. We require immediate answers and guarantees. When the world doesn't respond as we expected, we sink into disappointment. But here's what's important to understand. The peace you're searching for doesn't exist in force. It exists in surrender. Consider this image. Your mind is like a lake reflecting the moon's light. If you plunge your hands into the water, trying to grab that reflection, you only disturb the surface and lose the image entirely. But if you pause, breathe, and let go, the water calms naturally, and the reflection returns on its own, clear and serene. Life operates on the same principle. What you try to control through anxiety escapes you. What you receive with confidence flows toward you naturally. Letting go isn't surrender in defeat. It's a shift in your foundation, a movement away from fear and toward clarity. When you release the obsession with controlling everything, something reorganizes within you. Your anxiety weakens, your attention sharpens, and what once seemed unreachable begins approaching naturally. This isn't magic. It's a change in perspective, wisdom in action. Stoicism doesn't tell you to abandon your dreams or discard your ambitions. Instead, it invites you to release that blind need, to control and accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Because it's within that acceptance that your true strength awakens. Acting from fear makes you react with desperation. Acting from confidence allows you to decide with conviction, and that's what transforms your results. Seneca once said, "True happiness is enjoying the present moment without anxiously depending on the future." These words are a code of wisdom. Whoever lives peacefully with themselves now will never become enslaved by what hasn't happened yet. So calm yourself. Stop chasing happiness as if it's hidden outside you. Happiness is born when you stop struggling against what's happening now. You don't need to beg for love or prove your worth. Stoic acceptance isn't passivity, it's clarity on what truly matters. It's trusting life without controlling everything. And when you understand this, something shifts. A new strength emerges that isn't loud or frantic. It's balance and direction combined. If you're listening to these words now, perhaps this is the exact moment to take that step. Comment below. I choose to trust. That's not just a phrase, it's a new attitude you're adopting right now. As Andy Warhol said, the moment you stop wanting something, you obtain it. What's yours arrives when you're complete. The greatest illusion is believing you must chase everything to prove you're enough. But the truth is that what's genuinely meant for you doesn't arrive when you beg, pursue, or exhaust yourself. It arrives when you're complete. Complete in peace with who you are. Complete in the values you practice. Complete in the presence you maintain. Seneca wrote, "Nothing satisfies the person for whom enough is insufficient." This phrase reveals the secret. Whoever lives with anxiety about proving their worth never feels they already possess it. And that's why so many things drift away. Not because you don't deserve them, but because you haven't yet given yourself your own value. You cannot expect stability in your life if internally you remain fragmented. You cannot expect balanced relationships if you keep abandoning yourself to please everyone around you. You cannot expect abundance if you continue sabotaging yourself in silence. Your wholeness is where the world finds solid ground. It's when you stop begging for attention and begin cultivating self-respect. It's when you stop crying out for recognition and start respecting yourself quietly. And when you live this way, complete, even with scars, even in process, life recognizes it. It meets you halfway and delivers what was always meant for you, not out of pity, but out of consistency. The energy of scarcity attracts more emptiness. There's a specific type of energy that passes unnoticed, yet it defines everything you draw toward yourself. It's the energy of lack. When your mind only focuses on what's missing, the love that never came, the money that didn't appear, the recognition that never arrived, you enter a state of chronic neediness. The problem isn't wanting. The problem is living from absence. It's waking up every day with the feeling that something essential is missing, and allowing that to determine your mood, your attitude, and your decisions. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb people, but their opinions about those things. And the most dangerous opinion you can harbor is this: I'll only be happy when." That belief creates an invisible cycle. The more you think about what you lack, the more you reinforce scarcity as part of your identity. There's an ancient fable. Two creatures walk the same road. A fly lands only where there's filth. It sees garbage, noise, defects. When asked what it found, it responds with disgust. Nothing worth anything. A bee takes the identical route and lands where flowers bloom. It sees color and fragrance. When asked what it discovered, it smiles. The most beautiful flowers of the season. The world was identical, but their perspective was different. Your mind operates the same way. What you focus on expands. If you only look at what you're missing, you reinforce the idea that nothing is ever sufficient. But if you train your vision to see what you already have, what you can create, what still flourishes, reality begins transforming. The mind focused on scarcity cannot spot opportunities. It only confirms its own emptiness. But when you shift focus from what you lack to what you can build, from what you don't have to what you can offer, something powerful happens. You move from being an emotional beggar to becoming the architect of your own reality. Releasing scarcity is an act of courage, not because it disappears immediately, but because you decide to stop feeding it. Abundance starts as an internal state before it becomes an external result. So instead of repeating, "I need this to be happy," change it to, "I'm already everything I need to begin." Watch what transforms. Because when you release the identity of lack, you start living as someone who already has, and the world responds to that. Live as if it's already real. You don't attract what you want through anxiety. You attract what you live through consistency. Your mind needs evidence, and whoever acts as though they're still waiting only reinforces that they don't believe. But when you start walking like someone who knows exactly where they're going, something shifts. You change your frequency. It's not magic. It's psychology. Want confidence? Act like a confident person. Want respect? Stand firm with dignity. Want to attract healthy relationships? Become a safe space for others. Epictetus said, "First, tell yourself who you want to be. Then do what's necessary." That's the key. Many wait to feel before acting, but real movement begins opposite. First you act, then feeling follows. Want abundance? Practice gratitude. Want love? Practice presence. Want peace? Stop sabotaging yourself with old stories. You don't need the world to change. Shift the energy with which you present yourself. It's not coincidence. You've finally begun vibrating at the frequency of what you desire. The role of trust. Trust isn't standing around with your arms crossed doing nothing. It's having the courage to act even when your heart is racing. It's walking through darkness with certainty, even when you can't see the entire path ahead. True trust isn't passivity or naivety. It's a silent choice, an inner strength that whispers, "I don't yet know how this will unfold, but I know I can move through it." Epictetus said, "We're not disturbed by facts, but by how we interpret them." And that's exactly where trust manifests itself. It begins when you change how you face what's beyond your control. When you release the need to control everything, what remains? You. Your attitude. Your presence. Your ability to face this moment with firmness. Stoic trust isn't blind faith or shallow optimism. It's built through practice, born from every moment you look back and realize what seemed like the ending was just a new beginning. What broke me gave me shape. What escaped my control taught me more than everything that went right. And here, Alan Watts's wisdom fits perfectly. When you try to keep yourself on top of the water, you sink. But when you try to sink, you float. That's trust. When you stop fighting the present moment, the moment begins supporting you. When you trust, your mind calms. You stop wasting energy trying to predict the unpredictable. You stop exhausting yourself trying to control every person, every detail, every response. You breathe easier because you finally understand. My role is to give my best. Everything else isn't in my hands. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without arrogance. Let go without attachment." That's exactly what trust means. Trust is releasing what doesn't belong to you. It's investing your strength where it can truly make a difference. And you know what happens when you live this way? You stop suffering in advance. You sleep better. You listen more. You become more present, more whole, more free. You make mistakes with more lightness because you don't demand perfection of yourself. You live with more peace, not because everything is resolved, but because you've become strong enough to continue, even when everything remains uncertain. So today, don't demand answers. Don't try to predict the future. Just take the next step. Move forward with awareness and calm. That's what trust means. Walking forward, even without guarantees. How to apply this calmness in real life? Understanding is the first step. Living it is what transforms everything. Talking about letting go, trusting, living in the moment sounds beautiful. It even sounds inspiring. But how do you do it when the bills are due tomorrow? When your heart still aches? When everything seems to be advancing out there and you feel yourself falling behind? This is where Stoicism stops being theory and becomes something you practice daily. The first lesson you must practice every day is this: calmness doesn't come from control. It comes from clarity. And clarity requires presence. Before attempting to transform your world, simply pause and observe. Look honestly at what you're holding. Ask yourself, what am I trying to force? What am I unwilling to lose? Sometimes it's a person who left, and you're determined to get them back at any cost. Sometimes it's an ideal that no longer serves you, but you insist on maintaining it out of pride. Sometimes it's a memory that still hurts, and you're not ready to forgive it. And sometimes it's just fear. Fear of beginning again. Pain intensifies when you resist what's already happening, but something shifts when you admit with honesty: here's where I am. And even though it's not where I'd like to be, this is where I can begin. Let me give you a real example. Imagine someone who just experienced a breakup. The desire to repair the relationship, to reverse everything, to return to what was, feels uncontrollable. But calmness begins when that person has the courage to say, it's finished. And even though I still miss them, I need to stop trying to save something that no longer exists. This doesn't mean ignoring the pain. It means understanding that besides drowning in it, there's another option. Rise, breathe, care for yourself, stop chasing what already ended, and start moving toward what can still be. That's when they begin rebuilding their life, step by step, redefining their routine, seeking genuine support, seeing themselves not as someone rejected, but as someone rediscovering themselves. That's presence. That's power. Or consider someone who lost their job. The mind enters panic mode, imagining catastrophes and running around without direction, searching for any solution. But calmness begins when that person allows themselves to sit and say, this already happened. I can't change yesterday, but today I can update my resume. I can reduce unnecessary expenses. I can ask a friend for help, and I can reinvent myself. It's in that transition between panic and presence where true power is born. Marcus Aurelius said, what you have before you is enough. Just act. Just act. Not as someone fleeing, but as someone choosing. And every time your mind escapes to worst-case scenarios, bring it back with a simple yet powerful question. What can I do right now with what I have? Sometimes the answer is, organize my space, breathe for 2 minutes without distractions, or write down everything I'm feeling, even if it hurts. These small acts are anchors. They reconnect you with now, the only place where change actually begins. And when chaos seems bigger than you, remember one of the harshest and most liberating truths of Stoicism. It's not the event that destroys you. It's the judgment you make about it. So guard the words you repeat inside yourself. Don't say this is unbearable. Instead, say, this is what I must face today, and notice how your posture transforms. Because what impacts you isn't only what you think, but the tone with which you speak to yourself. And many times suffering grows not from actual pain, but because you compare yourself, judge yourself, demand you be faster, stronger, more perfect. That's where rush comes from. Guilt, that feeling of being behind, and all of that suffocates your calmness. Respect your rhythm. Don't compare yourself. Don't try to run a marathon in someone else's time when they're already at kilometer 30. Understand that different flowers bloom in different seasons. Seneca wrote, "It's not because things are difficult that we don't dare. It's because we don't dare that they become difficult. And daring sometimes is as simple as continuing, even if slowly." These practices don't create magic, but they do create miracles. The miracle of stopping being enslaved by external agitation and beginning to build internal strength. And when that happens, you no longer need to chase everything desperately, because what's meant for you begins to sense your firmness and moves toward you. A receptive mind is a strong mind. There's an enormous difference between wanting something and being dominated by that desire. When you want with balance, you act with wisdom. But when desire transforms into obsession, it starts consuming your energy, your attention, and your peace. Everything around you begins orbiting a single thought, and you lose yourself in what you believe you're missing, forgetting what's already present. Stoicism teaches us to observe our thoughts with distance, with clarity. Epictetus said, "Don't let yourself be dragged along by what passes through you. Just observe it." That's the foundation of a receptive mind. A receptive mind isn't a passive mind. It's a mind that's learned not to cling to every thought as though it's absolute truth. It's a mind that doesn't try controlling the uncontrollable, that's willing to live the present lightly, without the burden of needing to foresee the future to feel secure. When you're obsessed, you don't see reality. You see anxiety. You see everything through the lens of shortage, urgency, and comparison. And the harder you push that, the more tension you feel, the further you feel from peace. But when you breathe, slow down, and simply allow your mind to observe, something changes. You start seeing things as they actually are, not as your anxious mind insists they should be. You exchange the illusion of control for the clarity of acceptance. And that's liberating. A receptive mind is like an open window. It allows wind to pass, light to enter. It doesn't try controlling time or closing doors to the unexpected. This doesn't mean living without goals. It means following the path calmly, without confusing results with worth or control with peace. You act with intention, but accept with wisdom. The lesson here is, stop obsessing over what you don't have, over what you desire, and allow it to flow into your life when the moment is right. Because when you stop pushing, the path reveals itself. When you stop chasing, what's meant for you finds its way to you. The Stoic mind, when receptive, becomes more attentive to what matters, more sensitive to the present, more open to life's signals. Those small miracles only visible to those who slow down. And at this point, the wisdom of Thich Nhat Hanh, the mindful monk, fits like a beacon. He said, "Detachment gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our hearts we still cling to anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free." That's why releasing control isn't weakness. It's maturity. It's opening space to see beyond. It's stopping your war with reality and beginning to flow with it. Some of life's most important things won't arrive when you demand them. They'll arrive when you're ready. And being ready is this: being receptive, staying conscious, being at peace with yourself now. So breathe, release rigidity, release urgency, and above all, release fear. And right below, my mind flows. That's your commitment to peace. That's the first step toward living with more lightness, more clarity, more freedom. The obstacles that prevent you from trusting and letting go. Everyone talks about letting go, trusting the process, stopping control. And in theory, it sounds easy, even light. But in practice, when the real moment arrives to release someone, to stop insisting in a situation, to accept that you don't have control anymore, something inside you resists. That resistance is internal, and it almost always appears disguised as self-protection, as if insisting on the chaos were safer than facing the emptiness of a new beginning. But fundamentally, that's exactly what keeps you trapped. One of the first obstacles we feel is fear. Fear of losing, fear of failing, fear of letting go and finding yourself with empty hands. But ask yourself honestly, how many times did you hold something so tightly that you didn't notice how much it was suffocating you? It's like gripping a thorn firmly in your hand. The harder you're afraid to let go, the more it hurts. Epictetus said, "Nothing great is destroyed by external loss, but by the opinion we have about it." You don't need to lose what's valuable, but perhaps you need to release the idea that everything only has value if you maintain it at any cost. Sometimes letting go is the only path to save what's still good, even within yourself. Another subtle obstacle is impatience. We're surrounded by rush, deadlines, comparisons. We want to see results before even the process has matured. But calmness isn't absence of action. It's presence of awareness. Think of a recently pruned tree. It seems empty, broken, even damaged. But it's in that silent waiting that new branches prepare themselves. The fruits worth having don't appear by shouting. They grow in their own time, and that requires faith. Not blind faith, but the confidence of someone who knows that what's invisible today becomes visible tomorrow. Another enemy of peace is rigidity, the pain of seeing life not following the script you mentally wrote. But did life disappoint you? Or did your expectation become too massive? It's like building a sandcastle and getting angry at the ocean. The error wasn't the tide. It was the illusion of permanence. Too many expectations become invisible bars, and many times suffering comes not from what happened, but from the perfect image you created of how everything should be. Seneca wrote, "If you want everything to happen as you wish, you'll be miserable. But if you accept what life gives you, you'll find serenity." Flexibility isn't weakness. It's emotional intelligence in practice. Pride also blocks this. That voice whispering if you let go, you're surrendering. But letting go is wisdom. It's humility. It's recognizing we're part of nature, not superior to it. And like everything in nature, we follow cycles, stages, seasons. Every time you force something outside that rhythm, nothing flows. Not from lack of effort, but because you're not aligned with reality. Think of electricity. You can't see it, but touch where you shouldn't, and you feel it in your skin. Life is the same way. Ignoring its laws doesn't accelerate anything. It only delays everything. And when you understand this, you start acting as part of the system, not above it. That's when life spins without effort, without anguish. But behind all these obstacles, the core truth remains. You are stronger than your fear. You have more capacity than you believe. And the moment you decide to trust, not the world, but yourself, everything changes. So let this be your reminder. The obstacles are real, but your ability to overcome them is greater. Start today. Start now, because your future self will thank you for who you choose to become. This is the path of wisdom. This is the way to live.